Hi, I'm Dr. Tabitha, the Gutsy Gynecologist. I'm a triple board certified OBGYN and functional medicine physician. I've embraced the world of functional medicine and wellness through my own personal health journey, and I'm super excited to share my wisdom and unique perspective as it pertains to women's health. After caring for thousands of women, I've come to realize that your gut health determines your gyne health and your overall health. And it's a super gutsy thing for me to go against conventional gynecology practice to bring you the truth. No more Band-Aid medicine, ladies. We're talking root cause resolution on this show. So if you're struggling with hormone imbalance, weight gain, period issues, anxiety, insomnia, you name it, then you've come to the right place. And I want to be your gutsy gynecologist. So welcome. All right, ladies, we're mixing things up today. First, I'm interviewing a man, not just any man, but a badass guy from New York who's going to elevate your energy frequency to the next level. And secondly, we're not really talking about GYN issues. Today, we're going to figure out what is standing in the way of you becoming the amazing, healthy, vibrant, successful woman you dream of being. So my guest today is going to provide insight into why you're struggling and, more importantly, get you to see that you are capable of manufacturing huge breakthroughs and cultivating a bulletproof mindset. So these are all his terms. He's amazing. Let me just give him a shout out before we get going. Craig Siegel is a value-based keynote speaker, performance coach, entrepreneur, online brand exploder, master elevator, host of the record-breaking podcast, The CLS Experience, and rising thought leader. He's been featured in Entrepreneur. He's endorsed by many of the world's well-known celebrities, such as Rob Dyrdek, Ed Milet, Bethany Hamilton, Suzanne Summers, NFL Hall of Famer, Brian Dawkins. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited just reading your bio here, buddy. So he's going to talk about what happened when the pandemic hit. He's going to share his story of his journey, which called him to cultivate lasting symphony, a contagious, never seen before explosion that's impacted millions of lives worldwide, which I'm a part of. So it's pretty awesome. So Craig says removing limiting beliefs is the key to success in all areas of your life. Most people feel unworthy. And so Craig helps people release those negative beliefs they've cultivated over time and implement positive and constructive thoughts, which then create powerful and positive beliefs, which change your behaviors and ultimately create brand new results in all facets of your life. So welcome, Craig, to the Gutsy Gynecologist Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Tab. I got to say, usually I'm the one doing the introductions, but that one was one for the ages. Thank you so much for it. You have a right to create some magic to get here today, as we always do.
Yes, exactly. So you are deserving of all those beautiful words because you've been working your butt off, really trying to create this movement of getting people up off the couch, healing their brokenness, and getting them to actually live out their life's purpose. So my motivation in getting you on here today is I see so many women who are struggling with their health and they want the fix, right? They want to know what pill, what surgery, what diet plan. And it's so much more than that. It's about their mindset. And so I need you to help get through to my women, how to create an amazing mindset where you can really accomplish all the beautiful things that you want in life. So I want you to share your story and just get them pumped.
Yeah. First of all, I love all of this. And it's so true. There's so many people out there that just feel stuck, but they're not broken by any means. It's just their frame, so to speak, or their mindset. It's been corrupted from conditioning and so forth. And I'll give you a little background about me. I was once feeling stuck myself. I was on Wall Street for the last 10, 11 years. First, I was in finance and then I pivoted and started my own business. And it was fun until it wasn't. And then I got stuck. And what I learned is making money doesn't necessarily equal success. And simply put, it was sucking my soul. And it felt like I was waking up every day, Tab, and going to a job. And that's not how life is supposed to be. Like, not to sound too cliche, but we only get to do this thing once, you know? So you want to make the most of it. And I had all this built up energy and fuel, and I was looking for an outlet. So I started running a bunch of marathons, which was really great. And I just ran the New York City Marathon about a month ago. So I'm grateful that I found that. But I was never going to be a professional runner. I was just looking for a different arena to be a gladiator, so to speak. And make a long story short, the pandemic happened and it provided me an opportunity. It gave me a window. I essentially shut down my office for what I thought would be 2 weeks. March 2020, who knew? I just put myself in that frequency. I'd always been chasing something. Like I knew I was meant for more. And I had some success, obviously, from a monetary standpoint on Wall Street, but there was just something that didn't feel quite aligned. And I was always looking for something, even since I was a kid. And then I just felt guided in the beginning of the pandemic. I had like a very spiritual moment. And I basically asked myself to gain clarity, what are my gifts and what is my passion? And my gifts, and hopefully your audience will agree by the end of this conversation, is my ability to elevate, inspire, and actually facilitate action. Not just say something, but actually have people want to get off the couch. And then when it came to my passion, that was the easy part. Personal development. I'm obsessed with this stuff. I love it. Limiting beliefs, law of attraction, all that stuff. So I married the two, my ability to communicate and my love of personal development. And CLS was born a little over a year ago. And I'm very humbled to say it's exploded. One of the top podcasts on the planet, the membership, the community, the keynote speaking, the community which you're a part of, which I can't get enough of you. So this is special to be here today with you, and just all the things. But make a long story short, what I think is so interesting and relatable for the audience listening is I was stuck. I wasn't broken. I was just stuck in the rat race. And even people I'm sure can relate to like being in a relationship that maybe is toxic, or you know in your heart like it's not the right relationship, but you're kind of stuck in there. And you ask yourself, and I know I've been here, if I'm being honest, like, is this all there is? Like these, like, I don't understand how people say they're so happy doing other things. You get kind of stuck, right? You get beat up a little bit by life, but then you realize that your happiness is an inside job. And when you change your perception, and you realize that you are worthy to live the life you desire and so forth. And I made a change at the beginning of the pandemic. I had a short window and I knew I wanted more. I wanted to contribute to the world, to make an impact, to put a dent in the universe. And I put together a strategy. And the good lesson here is there's been a lot of success over the last year, but I'm no better or different than anyone else. I was just kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I made a choice, right? There's always a choice. And let me be very clear, not taking action is also a choice for everybody listening.
Yes. Boom. Amen. I couldn't agree more.
And ultimately, that's maybe the worst choice, right? Because there's no guarantee that we'll succeed if we take a shot at something we love. But chances are is if you love it and you want it bad enough, we'll make it work. And also, like, it's not really a failure if we have some stumbling blocks, because we'll learn and we'll adapt and we'll channel that to other situations. And we'll grow. The worst thing that you could possibly do is just not even take a shot at life. And so that's what I did. And the rest, as they say, is history.
I love that so much. And that is why when I saw you on Instagram, I just connected with you, because I had kind of done the same thing. You know, I was quote unquote successful OBGYN in my town. I delivered all the babies that were at the grocery store and at the playground. And, you know, I had arrived, you know, from high school dropout to successful physician, but I was stuck. I was miserable because I was cranking the patients out every 15 minutes as I was supposed to, according to administration, you know, and I was like performing enough surgeries and doing all of the things, but I wasn't fulfilling my purpose or satisfying my soul. And I wasn't really helping people. They just kept coming back with more problems, you know, and so I just love that you have this same belief that I do. Like, don't live in fear. If life sucks, do something about it, because not doing it is a decision, and it's something that you have to live with or you need to change. So I would love for you to like talk to my listeners about how to even go about taking those initial steps when they feel stuck, because most of my patients are 45 to 50 years old. they've done all the things, they've acquired the house and the family and the job. And now they're like, I don't even want this anymore. They don't even feel it. So
yeah, it's such a good point too. And look, ultimately you have to know in your soul, like in your heart, that you want more. And once you can acknowledge that, that's a great start. And then it's like, okay, but how, right? But what's step one? So what do we do? So one suggestion I can make is think of the highest quality version of you that could potentially exist. What would that person be doing? What would their behaviors be? What would their thoughts be? And so forth. How would they act? What would they be doing from a success standpoint? And chase that version of you each and every single day. So when you wake up and you have those moments where you don't feel like doing something or you want to procrastinate, whatever the case may be, just remember you have an opportunity to model the best version of you. And if you chase that version of you relentlessly, and I think like obsessions and being relentless are really good as long as they're the healthy obsessions, so forth. If you're obsessed with chasing the best version of you that could exist, that could really make an impact on this world each and every day, eventually you're going to become that person. And you're going to make a major impact, which will obviously leave a ripple effect and a legacy and so forth. And so for everyone else out there that wants to do something, but they don't even know where to start by journaling and get creative and think about what the best version of you might do. How might they act and so forth. And then once you have that target, because you can't hit a target you can't see, then you can constantly work and strive to become that best version of you each and every day.
I love that so much. Oh my goodness. I remember being super sleep deprived, being up delivering babies all night and thinking, I want to run. I want to be in shape. I want to be a morning person and have time for myself. And I said to my assistant, I want to drink coffee while I see patients. Like, I want this life. And once I started writing it down and verbalizing it into the universe, and like you said, acting it out every single day with my decisions, it happened. Here I am 2 years later, and I am that person. I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I work out and I drink coffee while I see patients and do awesome podcast interviews. And I totally manifested it. Say that again.
Wake up at 4:30?
I did 4:50.
Good for you. That's nice right there. Get that edge. Yeah.
It is, because then you work out, you have sex with your husband, and then you have like a couple hours to connect with God or do your journaling or whatever you want to do before the kids wake up, the patients start, like all of it. And that is the only time that I've been able to carve out for myself. And it works out amazing. I
think it's so good and important that you just mentioned that, because let's be honest, everybody could wake up a little bit earlier and start their day in like a quiet time before the world wakes up and cultivate that edge, which also gives you confidence and momentum. But most people would rather just snooze it. But here's the thing: once you wake up later and like you're already playing catch up and you're playing from behind, it's like that's like a negative frequency, so to speak. And something just as simple as you just attested to, waking up a little bit earlier, journaling, speaking to God, the universe, or working out, whatever the case may be, even something like that will start to build momentum and confidence.
Yeah, very good. So I hope everyone listening is taking note of this, even if you start with like a half an hour earlier, right? Like, just give yourself extra time to breathe and set some intention for the day before the chaos starts, like you said, right?
I'm so big into intention. And I love that you just said that, because you got to have a focus, right? You got to be purposeful in what you do every single day. Live on purpose, so to speak. So I couldn't agree with you more.
So what does your way of setting intentions look like? Are you journaling, or what are you doing?
I thought you never asked, right? I love to journal. I have so many different journals for different reasons. I have a big whiteboard that I'm always writing on and erasing and so forth. I have a vision board. I'm constantly very goal-oriented and putting stuff out there to the universe. And it's interesting because I know you're super big into this stuff, but for a while I had been a little skeptical about all this type of like manifestation stuff and the quantum and all that energy stuff. I was always a mindset guy. If it was past my like senses, how can I buy into that? But then, as you know, a few months back when I was training for my marathon and I was at a speaking engagement, I got injured. It was misdiagnosed. Turns out there was a tumor in my foot. So I had surgery, got it out. And while I was training for the New York City Marathon, to have an opportunity to just show up and honor my pops who's battling cancer and raise money for cancer, I couldn't physically train it. And I was like, if I'm ever going to buy into this quantum stuff and this energy manifestation, what better time than now? I can't even run. So I started to, and it's like, I can't talk about this stuff enough now. And that's when I really started to understand the power of intention and understanding that our thoughts are an electrical signal that we send out there to the universe. And the universe, it's not personal, right? If you have negative thoughts, the universe will give you negative results and so forth. But if you have positive ones and you're purposeful and intention, and you vibrate on a high level, so to speak, it's the first time in my life that I'm beginning to see real-time manifestations, like legitimately magic. And it's just been the most beautiful thing. And to be honest with you, all this stuff is still kind of new to me. I'm challenged to articulate it the way I feel it and see it, but I know that it's very real because it's happening for me.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think once you focus on things like that, the world opens up and there's more of it. Like that's what I found. Like it just magnifies. And then all of a sudden it's showing up in all aspects of your life. You start making different choices and decisions, and all of a sudden more positive people start showing up in your life and more opportunities. And I just want women to realize the power that they have, right?
100%. That's within us, right? As soon as you buy in and you start vibrating on that level and tapping into a more positive frequency and being intentional with your thoughts, right? Because, and as you said in the beginning, when you were introducing me, like, I think that what holds most people back is limiting beliefs. People don't believe that they're worthy or they can achieve success or they can find the right partner or have the right business, whatever the case may be. But all those limiting beliefs, you were not born with. We cultivated them over time, whether that be conditioning from our parents, society, whatever, social media, whatever the case may be. And just as easy as we cultivated limiting beliefs or negative ones, we have the ability to go in and trade the disempowering thoughts with more empowering ones, constructive ones, productive ones. And once we become self-aware, we're ever feeling weird, it's just feedback from the universe. You should say thank you. It's like a flashlight that our thoughts are out of whack. And once we realize that, we can start implementing positive thoughts, which create new beliefs, positive ones, not limiting ones. Those ultimately change our behaviors and change our results in life. So for the audience listening, like it's so valuable to become self-aware, and you don't have to have a bad day anymore, or a bad week. It could just be a bad moment. And if you're ever feeling a little off, it's just a disempowering thought, and you have the ability to go in and replace it with a more empowering one. And that changes our beliefs, changes everything.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. If women could really figure that out and cultivate that, they would be unstoppable. And what I've noticed, over my 46 years is that women are harder on themselves than men. They're very much more judgmental, and they, take things, they hold it in, they don't just let it brush off of them. So I want the man's perspective of like, how do you feel self-worth and gain self-confidence and, feel like you can do these things? Because as women, I think they're constantly judging themselves. Like, I don't want to go to the gym and start working out because I don't look good and I'm overweight and whatever, the excuses. Women all have that crap playing in their head, and they're just lies. How do you turn off that lie recorder that's playing in their head and put new good information in there for their subconscious to really take hold of?
Yeah, these are the $1 billion questions, and it's so powerful. It's so good that you're asking them. It's so true. It goes back to unworthiness. And I know exactly the kind that you're talking about, because a lot of them were my clients at one point. Like, someone wants to lose weight and get in great shape, which is a good thing, but they don't even want to go to the gym to be seen in their current shape. But it's just a limiting, like, we got to start somewhere, right? Like, the only person that you should care about's opinion is the one in the mirror. And if you love yourself, right? Like, it's none of our business what other people think. All we can control is, can we make ourselves better today? Can we continuously grow a little bit each and every day? Whatever that might be for someone, right? And ultimately, like, do you love yourself? And if you don't, and you're being honest with yourself, like you wouldn't date yourself, then it's time to make some changes. And the only thing scarier than making changes, such as going to the gym, if you're a little bit overweight or not in your best shape, the only thing scarier than that is to stay status quo and suffer and like pretend like we're going to live for 500 years, which we're not. Like this thing called life is a blessing, depending upon what you think happens after, like with the soul and the spirit. That's a conversation for a different time. But this particular human experience, like, why not make the most of it? And when you really get into your power, you stop caring what other people think and you just work on yourself. And if you can work on yourself each and every day, you start to get momentum, right? You start to look a little better, feel a little better. Not only do you get physically fit, but maybe you get mentally fit and you start to build confidence. And that's all it takes. And just look yourself in the mirror and say, why not you, right? Like why not? Why can't you accomplish what you want? Lose weight, get yourself out there for a relationship, start a business, conquer a marathon, whatever the case may be. And once you realize that the only thing holding us back are the stories that we tell ourselves in our head, or that voice in our head, like you attested to. And a couple things you could do to diminish that is, number one, you could control the volume of the voice in your head. So if the voice in your head is super scary, lower the volume so you kind of tune it out. And another thing that you can do is just associate that opponent in your head, that every time you resist the temptation of victimhood or feeling sorry for yourself, having a pity party, every time you resist that voice in your head, you actually gain more spiritual light than if the voice wasn't even there to begin with. So start associating pleasure with the voice in your head, because once you practice resistance, you actually get stronger by continuing on and so forth. And then you start to build momentum and stuff like that. Nothing happens overnight, but you do these things. And after a couple of days, a couple of weeks, all of a sudden you're on the right track. And then you become addicted to the results.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. Like, you have to be consistent. Consistency creates change. And you have to just start small. Like, if you're not ready to go to the gym, start with your mindset. I always say you can't heal a body you hate. A body you hate will not change into a body that you love. And so you first and foremost just have to love yourself where you're at, know it's capable, and start saying different things to yourself in your head. I love looking in the mirror. I think that's a great idea. It's really uncomfortable. I think, most people would be very uncomfortable. And I've had people say, I can't even do it. And so they need major work. Right? So, but you have to start somewhere. You really do. And so sometimes you talk about neuro linguistic program. Let's talk about that a little bit. How are you using that with your clients?
So the NLP stuff that was actually the first thing that I got introduced to when I started understanding personal development. Like, when I realized you can actually work on yourself, and like where you're at now is not an indication of where you can be, by reprogramming the beliefs in your head, right? Or you could even change what you associate pain and pleasure to. And I'll give you a funny example. Like, when I first got to Wall Street, I was a fish out of water. I didn't have a ton of confidence, believe it or not. I was more of an introvert. And to be successful there required confidence and self-belief. And so I would start using NLP techniques called modeling, where I would grab attributes from people I held in high regard and absorb them to myself. And one of the guys that I modeled was 007 James Bond. Because in my head, that guy was super cool. He doesn't care about rejection. That guy's assertive. He's got a swag. And by modeling some of those attributes, I was able to kind of step out of my shell and really find myself. And it's no different than when Beyonce's on stage and she channels, I think she calls it Sasha Fierce. She's a whole different person on stage. And then she goes back off stage and she's back to Beyonce and so forth. So whatever it takes, but these tools and techniques that you can apply can change everything for you, even changing what you associate pain and pleasure to, right? So like, for example, if you're associating pleasure with eating crap at night and you can't seem to lose weight, whatever the case may be, subconsciously, you don't realize it, but you're associating a pleasure with that bag of Doritos every night or whatever the case may be. You can change your perspective and start associating pain to those unnecessary snacks, so to speak. And this is just one example. And you could start associating pleasure to eating well and understanding nutrition and getting yourself on track. And so there's always a choice. And we can control our brain based upon the different strategies and the thoughts that we choose to keep there. Because although thoughts are random, thinking is not. So while everyone gets, and I don't have to tell you this, everyone gets multiple negative thoughts over the course of the day, we have the ability to choose which ones we want to keep there and which ones we want to replace with more empowering ones. So once you understand that we can control that type of stuff and we can take charge, literally your whole life changes in an instant. You start looking at the world from a completely new, healthier perspective.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so awesome. So you need to figure out like who's the best, amazing version of yourself that you want to be. Start thinking, how's this person going to act and show up in the world?
Yep.
Start modeling those behaviors, or find someone else that you really want to be like and start modeling their behaviors. So how do you execute all of that? Like, what's one way that you can do that?
So like, for example, back to the 007 James Bond analogy, right? Like literally like studying this guy, like how does he walk into the boardroom? Like, does he have a swag? Yes, he does. Like, what would be the quality of his thoughts? Let's say he was making a sales call, right? And somebody rejected him. Would that ruin his day? No, he'd be like, okay, next, right? So you just have to model how these people would act and so forth. Let's just say someone was modeling J-Lo or Beyonce, like they're performers, that preparation breeds confidence. They put in the work. They show up in this world, right? They don't really take days off when they're not feeling well. They woman up or whatever the case may be, and they show up messy if they have to, but they show up. So whoever it is that you're modeling, this is just one tool. But if you really buy in and you're really modeling this successful person, then all of a sudden your behaviors are going to change. They're going to be elevated. And then it just becomes conditioning. Now all of a sudden you're conditioned to showing up as that better version of you. And then that becomes contagious and it becomes more consistent. So you can literally start today. Anyone listening to this podcast right now, like grab a journal, right? After you're done listening to us, put down a couple people that you hold in high regard on the left side of the page and on the right side of the page, some of the attributes about those people that you admire. And now you can go back into your toolbox at any time, choose someone that you want to model for different situations, and start modeling their attributes. And eventually you'll absorb them and you'll start to elevate your behaviors and your characteristics. And this will change everything in an instant. I think there's a big misconception, Tab, that change takes super long. It really doesn't. It's the moment that you decide that you want to change, and then you just utilize the strategies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you hit the nail on the head. Like, just make the decision. I find like if I make a decision and just keep on moving forward, I'm feeling amazing and I have a ton of self-confidence. If I'm just stewing over something and not making any decisions and going back and forth, like all of a sudden you're thinking of all the possibilities and you're just creating all of this fear, and it's just toxic. And so I love it. Oh my gosh, so many golden nuggets. So yes, do what Craig is saying, like write this shit down, start journaling it. So, I personally, once I started going through this and I started showing up messy, like you said, like just don't even worry about the judgment, just show up and do it. I had a realization one day that I'm an influencer. Even if it's only 10 people in my hometown, me jogging down the street influences someone driving by who's contemplating thinking about running again, or who's contemplating starting to work out. And if I can impact that person in a positive way, boom, like all that half an hour was worth it, right? So I think like we need to really own how much influence we have on our children, on our loved ones, because if you're getting healthy and you're taking care of yourself, your partner's more likely to be. Like, it just spills over. Don't you agree?
100%. And also like take pride in that, right? Like you influence people. That's a responsibility. I look forward to that. Like that's what leadership is all about, right? Being a leader in life is someone that walks the walk, doesn't only talk it, but shows up. Like the camera's always on. But like you said, like when no one's around, you go for that run, a couple people see you. All of a sudden they weren't going to work out. They saw you doing it. Now, how can they not? So we are people of influence, but we should all take pride in that, as long as it's obviously being a positive influence, making a contribution to the world. And even if you just influence one person to do one positive action, That's a beautiful thing because it's a ripple effect. You don't know what that person now might do the same thing or something similar and influence someone else and so forth. So always think of yourself as a personal brand and always understand that we are of influence and we can always make an impact. But that's something to associate pleasure with, not pain.
Yeah, exactly. I find that the more that you are focused on pleasure while you're doing anything, the pain will go away. That's one of the tools I learned with meditating. Like, you can sit there and focus on your discomforts and they usually will go away. You can focus on the good stuff and the pain is just gone. And so I think, like, just cultivating the mindset, like you said. So let's talk about like how you're doing this on a bigger scale, because it's not just one-on-one, right?
Right. So you mean the CLS stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. So, look, if you want to scale and really make the biggest impact that you possibly can, you have to be able to serve and support more than one person at a time, right? Millions, billions, perhaps. Because if you're going to think, you might as well think big. So when I started CLS in the beginning, it was one-on-one clients. And I'm sure you can understand this. Like, even if they're all great people, and of course, you only work with great people for the most part, it's draining. It's a lot of different personalities. And so I think the biggest way that I can make the biggest impact on this world is by being able to support and serve as many people as I can in one shot. And that's why I created the membership a few months back, which you're a part of, which is so special. And that thing is exploding, 250 people just after a couple months. And that's what it's all about. Because like when I was younger, like I would do things to seek validation, if I'm being honest. Like maybe I had success in Wall Street. You get a flashy watch or a car when you're immature and young. As you get older and you have life experience, you realize that's not validation. When I seek validation now, like at this point in my life, is to be able to make an impact and just to contribute to somebody's life in a positive way. We get all these testimonials every single day. Someone saying, I heard a podcast that you did with Ed Milet or Rob Deerdeck, or I was on your membership call and I heard you talk about this, or on a coaching call, and it immediately changed my perspective and I did this. And that's what it's all about. That's how I crave validation these days, is to understand that we are making a huge impact. Like you said earlier in the conversation, that we are of influence. So as long as many people as possible are consuming the content and making positive changes, that's what it's all about. And in order to do that, you have to be able to scale and reach more people in one shot.
Yeah, for sure. So I know that you must have some kind of limiting beliefs or something that makes you nervous when you step into this role, because if you aren't afraid, you're not playing big enough. That's what I believe. Like, you got to have a little bit of fear. So tell me, like, what is that for you and how you work through it and how you just do shit anyway?
Yeah, great question. I think when I first started CLS, I'm someone that over the years has cultivated, and I wasn't always like this. I was insecure when I was younger, whatever the case may be. I had my insecurities just like anyone else. But over the last couple of years, I really started to work on my personal development and build my self-belief and confidence. And even when I ran the marathons, like I'd always lifted weights. That was my guilty pleasure for working out, but I never ran. And I was able to run 4 marathons that first year. And the most recent one, the fastest time I ever ran, 3:39 in New York. So I have crazy. Thank you. I have a lot of self-belief because I know that I don't believe that there's anything that I can't accomplish. I just have to figure out how, and obviously put in the work and so forth. And so when I started CLS, like in the beginning, when I was talking to some of these big names and these big celebrities, as I continued to move up and be recognized and so forth, I was a little intimidated because, these people are like huge celebrities and so forth. And I'm new to this space. But ultimately, the more I interact with them and, I gain confidence by my preparation, by having great interviews and being recognized as such, asking them questions that people don't usually ask them. I take pride in the homework. Now I genuinely feel like not only do I deserve to be in these rooms, with these big juggernauts, as I like to say, but look eye to eye with them. And I put in a lot of work over the last year and a half, and I consume content every single day. So it's like for me, and I'm sure you're the same way, like I'm always learning, like even this quantum stuff and energy stuff and all that stuff, like it's new to me, but I'm consuming it every single day. And we just launched the CLS book club, which actually starts tonight. So I'm always reading and I'm always like learning content. So, and again, later this month, I'll be on a big stage with John Maxwell, Jesse Isler, and a bunch of other big names. And, 6 months ago, that opportunity probably would have been a little intimidating. But now I'm just excited to go there, support, and hopefully do a phenomenal job. And I'm excited to take the stage with them because there's going to be a big audience there. So right now, I don't have limiting beliefs on everything that's going on, because over the last year, I've been putting in the work, and all the fruits now, or a lot of the fruits, are starting to come to fruition. There was a season of harvest. Right now, there's a season of growth. So I'm just excited about all to come. But in the beginning, we all have a little imposter syndrome at some point, but you let that voice talk to you and you tell it to beat it, and you just keep showing up messy and you keep doing your thing. There's never a perfect time. And then eventually that gives you confidence and you gain experience. And then it's not what can I do? It's what can't we do?
Oh my gosh. I hope everybody's taking notes, because this works in all facets of your life. Like, if you want to get in shape, if you want to eat healthy and cook healthy food, if you want to be a good role model for your children, if you want to kill your job or your business, like, it works in every aspect, right? So
100%.
It's about consistently showing up no matter what. It's about believing in yourself. It's about elevating your belief of what you're capable of doing, and then surrounding yourself with people who also believe in you and are doing those types of things, right? What I see with a lot of patients is their friends are unhealthy, or their friends are stuck in a negative mindset, or their husband, and they can't get out of it. You got to find new people to hang out with, right?
Definitely. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. Like, straight on, like, and I was talking about this recently, like maybe like a week or two ago. I was like, if I were to get married this year, who would be at my wedding, right? And the funny part is it would be the people that I would want to be surrounded by at that event, and especially like that would be all the people like that I have met from CLS on out, like you, and like all the people in my community and all the amazing relationships I've formed. And it's nothing personal to the people of my past, right? It's just like I've outgrown them, or maybe they've outgrown me, whatever the case would be. Right. But I'm just in a different frequency right now. And I'm all about growth, personal development, positive influences, just being around support and so forth. And so just because someone was in your life at some point doesn't give them a hall pass to be there forever. Right. So surround yourself with people that elevate you, and also people that will call you out in your bullshit. Right. Like, you don't want people pleasers around you. You want people to let you know, like, hey, Tab, I think you could do this better, or I think you could put in more effort, or Craig, stop being lazy, or whatever the case may be. So that's who you want to surround yourself with. So I think that's huge. And there's a bunch of sayings, right? Like, you are who you spend the most time with, the 5 people or something like that, or your sphere of influence. And it's why I surround myself with you, Tab, and people like us, because I think that's a huge component to facilitating your growth.
Yeah, without a doubt. So find some amazing people in your life that are focused on the same stuff you are, that want to kill it, and like, do it together, because we weren't meant to live this life alone. We were really meant to be in a community. It used to look like a little tribe of who lived within 100 feet of you or whatever, but now it's limitless. Like, we can be friends with people in Asia and Australia. It's like whoever you need to grow and be your best amazing self. So, oh my gosh, Craig, so many golden nuggets. Like, I can't even believe we covered all of this already, but I think my listeners are going to like go out and do some shit today, because this has been really awesome. So thank you.
That's the goal, right?
Yes.
Actually facilitate taking action, not just hear it or like watch a Rocky movie. Like most people, they'll go to the gym January 1st and gyms are empty 2 weeks later. What Tab and I want to do is to really strike a chord, to really let people know that there's a better life out there for you if that's what you crave, and you have the ability to live the life you desire if you want it bad enough. So thank you so much for having me. The best part about this is like this connection, it's just the beginning. And I have so much love and respect for you. And it was one of those rare instant connections. And I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. And I'm so excited about all to come with you.
Oh my gosh, right back at you. Thank you so much. Tell my listeners where they can follow you and connect with you.
I think the best place to find me is on Instagram at Craig_CLS. We have our website, cultivatelastingsymphony.com, where you can see what we're up to. You can join our CLS membership, which Tab is a part of. My daily texting community, 917-634-3796. Text that for daily inspiration. Just come say hello. And of course, anywhere you listen to podcasts, the record breaking, the CLS experience.
Yes, I love it. And you're going to love his accent. You gotta listen just to listen to your accent. I love it. Thank you so much, Craig. You're awesome. And let's do this again.
Definitely. Just the beginning for us, Tab. Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies, I hope you love Craig as much as I do. He is a juggernaut. He uses that word to describe his podcast guests because they are a force to be reckoned with, but he definitely is in that category as well. Craig Siegel is a juggernaut of a human being, and he's killing it, and it inspires me to step out of my comfort zone and reach for the stars and think bigger and dream bigger, because I am on a mission to help you women reclaim your health. I'm on a mission to help you have radical self-acceptance and self-love. You need to understand this is about you and you doing the work. I will guide you. I will give you the tools. I will bring the juggernaut people, but you have to show up for you and do the work yourself. So show up for yourself today. Journal like Craig said, go out and start taking action. Indecision breeds fear and anxiety. When you decide to do something, it propels you forward and you just do it. If you just make a decision and just do it and stop contemplating, you're gonna get somewhere. So whatever that New Year's resolution is that you had, if it's starting to peter out at this point, bring new life into it. Sit down, journal, write what it is that you want out of your life, what you want you to look like physically, mentally, emotionally, how you want to show up in the world, how you want people to describe you. They always say, if you died tomorrow, what would they say about you at your funeral? Who would be at your funeral? You should take some time to think about that stuff legitimately, because it matters. It creates mindfulness in how you live your life, as opposed to the mindlessness that a lot of us are living. I myself included. That's what I did for over a decade. I was on the hamster wheel and I was living a mindless life because I was in survival mode. I was just trying to take care of my patients, keep my body physically moving, see my children as much as I could. I was in survival mode. But that is not how we're meant to be. God created us to live out a purpose. And maybe that purpose is that you are a connector. You're supposed to bring people together. Maybe it's that you are a dog rescuer and you are supposed to be here to take care of all the poor dogs in the world. Whatever your purpose is, you can't focus on that or even figure it out, let alone work on it, if you're in survival mode, if you are just stuck, like Craig says. So get unstuck, do something different today, okay? And whatever your golden nugget was for today, there were so many of them. I would say take more than one today, but take some of those and really start to revamp who you are and who you want to be and how you want to feel on the daily, and it will happen for you. And I want you to reach out and message me of what did you decide to do? How are you showing up differently? What is the person that you want to become? Tell me about her. So I want to hear all about that. You can message me on Instagram at The Gutsy Gynecologist, on Facebook at Dr. Tabitha. Now you can watch me on TikTok at The Gutsy Gynecologist, because I'm stepping out of my comfort zone yet again, and I want you to do that too. So check me out at drtabitha.com. That's 3 A's, no I's. If you're looking for more one-on-one help, I'm here for you. Otherwise, I would love it if you give me a 5-star review so that iTunes knows that you find this important. So go have an amazing kick-ass week and do something, okay? All right. Bye, ladies.